Good day, my audience. My name is Koinsala Abadeside, and I am your host. And also, I am going to be talking about smart irrigation techniques for small scale tomato farmers in Nigeria. I want you to sit back and listen while you take note of some important notes that will be shared in this episode. So, before I go in, let me introduce myself a bit. I am Koinsela Abadiside, like I said before. I am a graduate student studying agricultural economics in Adventist University in Turkey. But I am from Nigeria, so I am bringing this hope. So today, like I said, we are going to be learning about smart irrigation techniques for small scale tomato farmers in Nigeria. And to go back a bit, small scale farmers are about 70% of the total population of Nigerian farmers. And tomato is one of the major produce in Nigeria. So which is why this topic is very important. And this doesn't apply to Nigeria alone. Other African countries with the same topography or the same, some of the things that will be shared across can also be applied in in other African countries. So this is for everyone. It's not just for Nigerian small scale farmers. So today, the first thing we are going to be talking about today is what is the best irrigation method for tomato farmers in Nigeria based on their different regions. Yeah, like we know that every land are not the same. So we have to look for the best method for different regions. And in Nigeria, we have different region, but the basic one I'm going to be talking about is the north, the south, and also the middle belt. So first in the north, which one is more applicable? Which irrigation system is more applicable for them? Because the north, the weather there is so hot and dry, which is why drip irrigation method is the best irrigation system, because this method helps to deliver water directly, and like it helps to deliver water directly to the roots, which also enforces evaporation and helps to save water. Because if you are just trying to water the plant directly, this is going to lead to water wastage, which is not sustainable for our farm, which might also cause water wastage or cause the root rot for our tomato plants. So the best system that we can apply in this scenario for our northern small scale tomato farmers is drip irrigation, because it helps to take water to the roots of the plant itself, whereby it also allow for evaporation, and also it also helps for us to reuse the water, because there won't be wastage. Because when we are using drip irrigation method, it can also help us to reuse the water that is dripping, if that makes sense. So that is simple drip irrigation system is very applicable for our northern small scale farmers. Now for the middle belt. These areas, they have a bit of moderate rainfall, not completely dry and hot like the northern region. So for this, farmers can use furrow irrigation. And how does furrow irrigation work? It works by water flowing in small channels between plant rows. So we have our plant rows, right? Then we create a furrow amidst them, whereby water can easily flow across those furrows, and it can help to water our plant. And in this way, this is a great option for our middle belt small scale farmers. So this is very applicable for our middle belt small scale farmers. Now let's go to the south. In the south, there is more rainfall. And also so in this process we can harvest rain, and thereby the best irrigation method for this is maybe we using rainfall, we are by targeting when there will be rain. This will help to take advantage of the rainfall, thereby reducing water wastage, like that means rain wastage, and also using it for our plant benefits. So we are using it to water our benefits. So in the south, rain harvesting and drip irrigation can be combined. This can therefore create more effective irrigation system, because when we harvest rain and when there is no rain, we can use after harvesting the rain, we can use drip irrigation to water our plants afterwards. So now let's go to our second question. The second question we're going to be talking about today is, we've talked about the best irrigation system. How can farmers set up an affordable irrigation system? I'm sure that will be the question on your mind as well. Yes, because we know that like our target audience for this discussion is based on small scale farmers. So how can they set up affordable irrigation system? Which is a very good thing to talk about. Now, how can this for irrigation system, drip irrigation system, which is a low cost method, how small scale farmers can set this up is farmers can make use of old used bottles or pipes, old used bottles or pipes, whereby we perforate holes, and we should ensure that they are measured so that we will be able to have precision irrigation. So we should measure those holes. We should perforate the holes and measure the distance between one hole to the other, so that it won't just be like we are. So even though it is low cost method, we should try to be precise with the measurement. And this is something we can do ourselves by measuring using tape rule and also maybe pipe. I think pipe is much better because it can cover a large distance rather than bottles. And even if it is bottles that you have, you can connect the bottles together, old used bottles, just cut the tip, connect them together, whereby we can perforate them using tape. By measuring the distance between each holes, we can perforate them. And that is one of the ways we can set up a sustainable and affordable irrigation system. Another one is rainwater collection. I've talked about the first one is used bottles. I've also talked about hose pipe. We can make use of hose pipe, whereby we perforate it like we perforate the bottle, and also measure the distance between each hose. So another one is rainwater collection. This is more applicable to Middle Belt region and the South. Where there is rain, we should practice rainwater harvesting. We shouldn't just allow the rain to fall and that's it. We should ensure that we should set up systems around our farm or around our farmhouse, sorry. We should set up system around our farmhouse that can harvest water, thereby reducing wastage. And when there is no rain, we can make use of the water that we've harvested to irrigate our plants. Another one is furrow irrigation. How can we set up an affordable furrow irrigation? Here, if your farm is around the stream, which is like the best system to apply, like setting up our farm around water source. If your farm is around a stream or river, farmers can dig small channels around the water source, which can directly water our plants from those furrow. We can set up pipe from the river. Which would connect to our farm and which would connect to our tomato farm, thereby watering our farm directly. These are affordable systems. But in this furrow irrigation, farmers should be careful to set up a control to avoid soil irrigation. I will repeat that again. For furrow irrigation, farmers should ensure that they set up control, and they should be monitoring they should monitor the irrigation to avoid soil erosion or over irrigation of our plant. So now we will go to our third question, but I would say that with this simple irrigation and affordable irrigation, farmers can ensure good productivity of their tomato farms without having irrigation as a problem. So now the third question is relatable to our second question, which are what are the common mistakes that farmers make when irrigating their crops? In this case, tomatoes. What are the common mistakes? I will start from my last sentence for furrow irrigation. Farmers has to set up a system that can control the furrow irrigation, whereby if the water, to know that, okay, this is enough for the plant, I'm going to close the pipe, or I'm going to close the channel, or, okay, the water is flowing too much, oh, this is running away my soil, I need to control. So farmers has to set up control to avoid soil erosion, especially for furrow irrigation. If you are practicing furrow irrigation, you have to set up control to avoid soil erosion. Now, another one is overwatering. There's an adage that says there shouldn't be too much or there shouldn't be less. So we should avoid overwatering or underwatering, because overwatering, what does it cause to our tomatoes is that it causes root rots. It also uh, give room for fungal infection, which we wouldn't want wastage of our plants. So the best thing is to avoid overwatering, to avoid root rot, fungal infection, and also soil erosion. Then in underwatering, we should avoid watering our plants less. Maybe because we are trying to manage water or we are trying to manage our resources. We should avoid underwatering, because what this leads to is it produces small roots, small fruits, small tomato fruits, in the sense that the tomato will be so small and we wouldn't be able to maximize our resources, because for our production as an economist, the main focus for production is to maximize resources, thereby maximizing profit. So if you want to maximize your profits, you have to maximize the resources that you have to give you a good number amount of profits that would help you to produce again and again and again to keep you in business. So another one is wrong timing. These are some of the mistakes our farmers make in watering our tomato plants. Wrong timing. For example, watering at midday is a no-no for tomato plants, because when you water at midday, it leads to high evaporation rates. If you water at midday, for example, maybe around 12 noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., is going to lead to high evaporation rate. And also, but the best time to water is early in the morning or late in the evening, when the sun is not too hot, and thereby you can maximize the irrigation. You can maximize your irrigation and the water you are giving to your plants. So the best time, take note of that, the best time to water our plants is when? Early in the morning or late in the evening. Midday is a no-no. Then also poor drainage. Poor drainage is also one of the common mistakes that our farmers can make when they are irrigating their tomato crops. For example, if your water doesn't drain well, this can lead to running off of soil nutrients and also cause disease. And also, this is very detrimental to our plant health. So what farmers should ensure to do is that they should check their soil type and their drainage system to adjust it to the best possible ways that can ensure our plants, that can ensure good health for our plants. So we should ensure that if your soil is maybe sandy, you should water it accordingly, like that. So it's very important to avoid poor drainage because it is detrimental to our soil health, our tomato plant health. Now, we are going to go to how does excessive or insufficient irrigation affect our tomato yield. This is more relatable to the mistakes that is being made in our tomato irrigation system. This is relatable. For example, when you are, like I said, overwatering, this can affect our plant health, thereby giving room for poor health of our plants. So this will not enable us to maximize yield and profit. So it is best to avoid this mistake to maximize yield and profit. So now, what are some of the policies? What are some of the policies that has been set in place or initiative that has been set in place for our farmers, for our irrigation? What are some of the policies that has been set in place? One of the policies that has been set in place is Nigeria River Basin Authorities. These are some of the initiatives that has been set in place to ensure that our farmers are able to access good resources, good support to promote resources for their farm. These are some of the systems or initiatives that are supporting our farmers. Another one is Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System. And what this initiative does is that they give loan to farmers. Which they can use in case our farmer has a bigger farm, maybe setting up local source irrigation system might not be applicable. So farmers can, this Nigeria incentive-based risk sharing system can come in handy by giving our farmers loans to source for irrigation resources. So these are systems that support our Nigerian farmers to promote their irrigation system. Now, then also we have international organizations like Food Agricultural Organization, FAO, or IFAD, whereby they are promoting solar-powered irrigation for small farmers, especially in dry region like in the north. This can really come in handy. These supports can really come in handy for farmers in the north, thereby to promote their agricultural production and also to maximize yield and profit. So this system like IFAD and FAO are systems that can support agricultural that can support irrigation systems, irrigation infrastructure for small farmers especially in the north, but generally in Nigeria and in other African countries. Now to the next question: what techniques can help farmers reduce water wastage and prevent soil erosion while practicing irrigation? This, like I said, when I was trying to talk about the errors, this also relates back to the errors. For example, when after watching our plant, we have to ensure that we are practicing sustainable farming. Thereby, we have to reduce water wastage. So one of the ways we can practice this is by practicing mulching. Mulching is a common practice, but for some farmers that might not be aware, mulching helps to reduce water wastage. Like I said, and how do you practice mulching is by covering the soil with leaves or dry grasses, thereby or straws. Thereby, you can reduce evaporation and you can make good use of the irrigation of the water in the plants. Because if there is irrigation, you water the plants, but some of them are love spot. So, but to make very good use of the water available, we have to practice mulching. Another one is deep irrigation. Drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is, like I said, is one of the major practices for farmers, especially in the north. And this thereby, instead of pouring water all over your farm or just watering without caution, drip irrigation helps to make very efficient use of our water and also helps to prevent wastage. Thereby, we use small pipes or bottles to deliver water directly to the roots of our plants. Another one is control farming. Control farming especially for farms that are located that has a slope or a contour. This can come handy. Like on a slope land, farmers can create small ridges or terraces to stop water from running off from the plants. So when you create ridges around your plants, water can be easily stored around those ridges. Thereby, plants can when you need it, plants can easily make use of those water. So you have to check your farm, the topography of your farm, and see if this can be applicable to your farm. And the last one, which is not the least, is compost or organic matter. When you add compost or organic matter, maybe from your fish farm or from your poultry farm, this can help to improve the ability of the soil to hold water. Because if the soil is loose, water can run off freely. But if you add compost or organic matter to the soil, you can be able to hold water for a longer period of time. So with this method, farmers can save water, make use of water efficiently, and prevent soil erosion. Thereby, they grow healthier tomatoes and maximize yield and profit. Now, the last question we're going to be talking about in this episode is, which I know is on your mind, is, does soil type affect irrigation efficiency? Yes, your soil type affects irrigation efficiency. Now, generally we have three types of soil: sandy soil, clay soil, and we also have loamy soil. And like we know, sandy soil drains water quickly, clay soil holds too much water, while loamy soil, which is the best type of soil for water, thereby it holds water well without becoming waterlogged or like the clay soil. So we for this irrigation system, and for you to better utilize your farm and your resources, you have to know your soil type. And you have to know your soil. How can you know your soil type? You have to test your soil. How can you test your soil without having maybe a big or a complex system. How can you test your soil simply? First, you have to grab a handful of soil. Grab a handful of soil like this, squeeze it. Squeeze it. If it crumbles quickly, like after squeezing the soil, if it crumbles quickly, then it is sanded. Then it is sand the soil. Then if it forms into a hard ball, after squeezing it, if it forms into a hard ball, then it is clay. It is clay. But if after you release your hand, if it's old a bit, then after some times it breaks off, then it is loamy soil, which is perfect soil. That is one of the first simple tests. That's the first simple test. Then the second one is maybe farmer, you can dig a hole. You can dig a hole, pour water into it. Pour water into it. If the water drains quickly, if the water drains fast and quickly, then it is sandy. If it stays for too long without going in, then it is clay. But if it absorbs it like naturally after some period of time, then it is loamy soil, which is the best type of soil. And by understanding your soil type, you can know the best irrigation method to apply on your farm. How is climate change affecting water availability for tomato farmers in Nigeria? And which region is affected the most? Like we all know, and you've also been witnessing on your farm that climate change is affecting anything related to farm agricultural practices. And for you to know, agriculture is also one of the major contributors to climate change, which is why this program is very important for you to know that for you to practice effective and climate-friendly practices, which we are going to be discussing here as time goes on. But one of it is water resources. Yes, agriculture has affected climate change, and now climate change is thereby affecting and impacting agricultural production in return, which we know that climate change is one of the major threats to tomato farmers in Nigeria today, because now some regions are now experiencing erratic rainfalls or unpredictable rainfall. And this is so detrimental to our farmers, especially in the south, that are now also experiencing unpredictable rainfall, which is very bad for our agricultural production, especially tomato farm, because tomato needs water, and unpredictable rainfall is very detrimental. So, for example, the northern region, which includes Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, Zamfara, and the likes, this region is the most affected by water scarcity, because due to rising temperature in these regions, water scarcity is being experienced. And now many farmers, they usually rely on rivers, wells, and boreholes, but now they are being dried up, which is affecting our food security in the country. Now, there was a time that we experienced high high rate in the cost of tomatoes, which is due to some of this reason of climate change and water unavailability. And this is how climate change has affected water resources. Now, in the middle belt, these areas are also experiencing flooding and dry spells, which is due to impacts of climate change. And in the south, now, the issue that is being experienced in the south is unpredictability of water. So, like I said, in the north, we are experiencing, which is the highest that is being affected. They are experiencing water scarcity. in the middle belt, they're experiencing dry spells and flooding, while in the south, we are experiencing unpredictability of water. Now, how can we how can we uh, set up the best irrigation method that can be useful in this climate change era? In this climate change era, what are the best irrigation method that can be employed? One of them is drip irrigation. Like I mentioned in the first part in this episode, the best one is drip irrigation, because drip irrigation is the most water efficient system because it delivers water directly to the plant root, thereby reducing evaporation and waste. And in this process, you are able to make use of the small amount of water that you have. You are able to make use of it efficiently. We are able to make use of it efficiently. So, like I taught us, a simple setup is by using pipes or used bottles. This do not break a bank. It helps you to make use of the little resources you have to utilize your farm, to utilize irrigation on your farm. Now, the next one is mulching plus drip irrigation. If you remember, I explained mulching. Mulching is using dried leaves or straw or dry leaf or straws to cover after irrigating. After using drip irrigation, you combine this method with mulching, whereby you cover your plant with all the dried leaves, this process or plastic, so that it will help to retain the moisture in the soil. Thereby, you are maximizing the resources, the little amount of water you have more efficiently. Another one we can use is solar powered pumps. And this is very efficient for those in the north because they have good amount of sunlight. Thereby, they can use the sunlight, they can channel it into making solar powered irrigation pumps. Thereby, instead of them waiting on electricity, which is not constant, or other sources of pump, they can make use of solar powered pump. Thereby, the farmers can install these solar panels to draw water from wells or river, thereby reducing costs and ensuring a reliable water supply. Now, for those in the north, this next approach will be very suitable for them, which is rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a good irrigation method and a good climate-friendly method that can be utilized, because when there is rain, we can utilize it efficiently, thereby watering our plants and harvesting those waters. Thereby, we can maximize the resources, water resources that we have more efficiently. Thereby, you can store it in tanks, or we can invest in tanks to store water. This way, we can maximize the water that we have, thereby not allowing climate change to totally affect our production. Now, the key thing to know in this right irrigation method is that we should use water wisely and avoid wastage. Now, we've made mention of some techniques, of some resources. What are some of the government programs or system or support schemes that are helping farmers to assess these irrigation techniques? First is the River Basin Development Authorities. These agencies provide irrigation services to farmers in different regions. And if smallholder farmers want to assess this, they can visit the local RBDA authorities in their vicinity. They can easily check Google Map for direction, or also maybe if there is any extension visits in their farm, they can access these opportunities Another one is the National Agricultural Land Development Authority. This authority helps farmers access irrigation infrastructure also, as particularly in Kano, Benue, and Katsina, because these are in the North region, and these schemes support farmers in this region, particularly to access irrigation infrastructure and other farm infrastructure. Another international support is like FAO, IFAD, USAID. This organization fund climate smart irrigation projects, particularly in the north, because farmers in the north are major producers. Thereby, there are a lot of focus on them to support them, thereby to reduce food scarcity in the country. Now, what are the low-cost irrigation innovations that has worked well in northern and southern Nigeria? Yes, what are some of this? We are going to be looking at some of the success stories. Like farmers have been able to utilize drip irrigation system using hose pipes and water bottles. Thereby, they are able to efficiently manage their farm, maximize profit, and maximize yield on their farm. Plastic bottles drip irrigation. Farmers have been able to repurpose their used plastic and by punching small holes in them, and for water to drip slowly on their tomato farm. Also, treadle pumps. In Benue and in Plateau, we have these manual foot-powered pumps which helps farmers to draw water from shallow wells without needing fuel. And this has been very effective for them because they don't have to wait on electricity. By this way, they can make use of their of what they have to get what they want, which is effective irrigation method. Also, we have gravity-fed drip irrigation in Ogun State and Oyo State, especially in Ogun State and Oyo State, whereby in this region, farmers have used elevated water tanks to feed water into their pipes. And also, we are seeing the case of rainwater harvesting. These are all effective and affordable methods that is existing presently in both northern and southern Nigeria. In this way, farmers has been able to reduce the impact of climate change on their tomato farm. Now, what mistakes do many farmers make when setting up their irrigation system? These have been discussed in our first episode. I hope you can be able to reference it. And yes, some of the mistakes are using wrong irrigation method. Also, not using wrong irrigation method using right irrigation method to wrong soil type or soil topography. These are also some of the mistakes that farmers make and farmers should avoid when setting up irrigation system. Also, neglecting maintenance. Neglecting maintenance is also one of the problems. Also, not storing water. When you have water, you should store it so that you can make very good use of the water resources available. Also, wrong timing. Wrong timing, like if you remember, When is the best time to water our farm? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon or in the night? Yes, the best time to water our tomato plant is early in the morning or late in the evening. Midday is a no-no so that we can avoid evaporation and make very good use of the water in the soil. So now, what uh, what are some of the next thing we are going to be talking about is Turkey. We're going to be looking at, because our channel is a Turkey-based channel, and now we are going to be looking at how Turkey as a country has been able to manage water resources that they have in agriculture, thereby promoting water conservation. How have they been able to manage it? The first one is Turkey has successfully been able to tackle water shortages by setting up drip irrigation system in their greenhouses. Thereby promoting drip and precision irrigation. In Turkey, we have over 65 farms that are practicing this drip and precision farming. Thereby, they are able to manage and conserve the water available to them. Also, they are making use of drought-resistant crop varieties. These varieties, with little water available, you can be sure to get best results, best yield of your tomato crops. Thereby, with this system, with this drought, with them planting drought-resistant crop varieties, they are able to reduce the impact of drought on their agricultural production. Also, Turkey government has been able to provide subsidized irrigation system to smallholder farmers. Thereby, financial resources is not a problem for smallholder farmers to access the best irrigation method that is applicable to their farm, which the best irrigation method can be traced to drip and precision irrigation. The drip and precision irrigation, and with the government subsidized infrastructure, smallholder farmers are able to utilize this. Now, we also have digital water management. Turkey uses mobile apps to monitor soil moisture, and also Nigeria can also introduce these systems to promote and increase food production while conserving water. Now, let's look at some of the cost-effective irrigation techniques that is used in Turkey that Nigerian can adopt. One of them is solar-powered drip irrigation kits. Nigerian farmers can adopt this irrigation kit, solar-powered irrigation kit, to pump water directly to their crops, thereby reducing their dependence on fuel-powered pumps. Also, underground water storage tanks. This can come in handy to store water for dry seasons, especially because Nigeria is a region that has both wet and dry seasons. So if they have underground water storage, if they practice underground water storage tanks, they can be able to store water for irrigation. Nigerian farmers can dig small water storage lined with plastic sheets for this same purpose. Another one is tensiometers to test for soil moisture. Farmers in Turkey have been able to utilize this, thereby managing the water resources they have. This can also be applicable for Nigerian farmers, thereby they use tensiometers to test for soil moisture, thereby making efficient use of the water resources available. And they can also reduce water wastage, thereby they use tensiometer to test for soil. And another alternative, if smallholder farmers in Nigeria or in other African countries cannot afford this, another way they can use is another way which is effective and locally available is by inserting dry stick into the soil. If the dry stick is moist, that means if the dry stick is, and this should be done before watering. So if you are maybe early in the morning before watering, if you insert dry stick into the soil and it becomes moist, that means you don't have to water at that time. There is still water in the soil. But if it is dry, then you would have to water. So by this way, you can avoid water wastage, thereby managing your resources to maximize yield and profit. So we've come to the end of our program today, which we talk about smart irrigation techniques for farmers in Nigeria, for tomato farmers in Nigeria. And I'm very sure this has been very insightful. We have talked about how to test for your soil locally, how to test for soil moisture locally, how to set up local drip irrigation system. This has really been insightful, and I look forward to you applying these methods on your farm and also maximizing yield and profit. Thank you so much for listening, and till I come your way again, be safe.